Deep breath, close-up on face, voice low and shaking with leftover adrenaline. The day my own parents looked me in the eye and said, "Help your sister or we raise your rent to $3,000 a month." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. Something inside me just went perfectly still. And that's when I knew I was done. Hi. My name is Chloe Bennett, and for the last 6 years I thought I had escaped my family's gravity. Turns out I was just orbiting a little farther out, still caught, still tethered, until the day they yanked the rope so hard it snapped. I grew up in one of those picture-perfect Connecticut families. Christmas cards with the 4 of us in matching sweaters, my mom's smile frozen just right, my dad's hand on Serena's shoulder like she was made of glass. Serena is 2 years older than me, and from the moment she took her first steps, the entire house tilted toward her. If she cried, lights went on. If she laughed, we all clapped. I learned very early that my job was to be the steady one, the quiet one, the one who didn't need anything so that Serena could have everything. I didn't hate her for it. I just adjusted. When she got pregnant at 23 with Ruby, my parents turned the guest room into a nursery before the ultrasound ink was dry. When Liam came 2 years later, they remortgaged the house to help her and Ethan buy a bigger house. And when baby Ellie arrived screaming last year, the solar system officially had only one son, Serena. Me? I was the reliable moon. Always reflecting, never shining. 6 years ago, right after college, my parents offered me the small apartment over their detached garage. Family discount, they said. $800 a month. I was 23, drowning in student loans, and it felt like a lifeline. I painted the walls soft sage, bought a velvet reading chair, hung an antique mirror I found at a flea market. I told myself, this is mine. They can't touch this. I was so naive it hurts to think about now. Last fall the messages started getting weird. Mom. Family sticks together, Chloe. Especially when someone's struggling. Serena on the phone, voice like tissue paper. Ethan's traveling again. I'm just so tired. I sent grocery deliveries, picked the kids up from school twice when the daycare closed early, stayed late to fold tiny laundry while Serena napped. I thought I was helping. I didn't realize I was auditioning. Then came the email. Subject line. Family meeting mandatory Sunday noon. I laughed when I read it. My mother once called a mandatory meeting because the cabinet hardware was nickel instead of brass. I showed up in jeans and a sweater, clutching a bottle of wine like it was Easter brunch. The second I walked into the living room, I knew I'd misread the room. Dad was pacing by the fireplace. Mom sat ramrod straight, ankles crossed like a queen. Serena was curled in the armchair, twisting her wedding ring so hard I thought she'd snap her finger off. You're late, Mom said. It's 11:58. She flicked her wrist like 2 minutes were an insult. Dad pointed at the love seat. Sit. The air smelled like lemon polish and something metallic, fear maybe. Mom didn't waste time. Your sister is drowning. We've come up with a schedule that we feel is fair. She slid a crisp sheet of paper across the coffee table like a restaurant menu. Monday through Friday. 3:15 p.m. pick up Ruby. 3:30 p.m. pick up Liam. Supervise homework, cook dinner, bathe Ellie, bedtime routine. Stay until Ethan gets home. Usually 7 to 7:30. Plus 2 full weekends a month. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Unpaid, of course. My mouth tasted like copper. I work until 6 most days. Sometimes later. Dad shrugged. You'll adjust. Family comes first. I looked at Serena. She still wouldn't meet my eyes. And if I say no? Mom folded her hands like she'd rehearsed this. Then we'll have to raise your rent to market rate. 3,000 sounds fair. 3,000. The room spun. 800 to 3,000 overnight because I wouldn't become a live-in nanny. I stood up so fast the love seat scraped backward. So you're blackmailing me. Mom's lips thinned. We're asking you to contribute. Dad added, calm as a judge. We need an answer today. I looked at the 3 of them, my own blood, and felt something crystallize behind my ribs, cold and final. You'll get an answer, I said. Then I walked out. I drove home with the windows down even though it was freezing. The second my apartment door clicked shut, I pulled out the lease I'd signed at 23. Page after page of legalese I'd never bothered to read because they were my parents. And there it was, buried in paragraph 14. Rent may only be increased 10% annually with 90 days written notice. Everything they threatened? An empty bluff. I laughed, one sharp bark that echoed off the empty walls. Then I opened my laptop and started hunting apartments like my life depended on it, because it did. Wednesday I found it. A renovated loft 20 minutes away. Exposed brick, huge windows, no memories baked into the drywall. I applied at 4:17 p.m. Thursday at 9:03 a.m. the approval hit my inbox. Thursday night I started packing. No tears. No rage. Just quiet, methodical fury. I folded sweaters like I was folding away years of swallowed words. I wrapped coffee mugs like I'd bought with my own bonus money. Mugs they'd never once used because they preferred the ones from Serena's wedding registry. Every plate I packed felt like shedding skin. Friday I sent my 60-day notice by certified mail. Saturday morning the movers came. Rain tapped the windows like it was applauding. By noon every trace of me was gone. I wiped the counters until they gleamed, made the bed one last time out of spite, and dropped the keys through the mail slot. Click. Done. My phone started exploding before I'd unpacked my silverware. 10 missed calls. 16. 23. Voicemails I never played. I blocked every family member except my Aunt Veronica, who called Sunday night. They went to the apartment, she whispered. It's empty, Chloe. Your mother is having a full meltdown. Good, I said. She laughed, then went quiet. They had to hire a nanny. Real one. Costs them $4,000 a month. I smiled so wide my face hurt. Tuesday a certified letter showed up at my office. Return address my parents' law firm. I took it straight to Richard Cole, the attorney our company keeps on retainer. He read it twice, snorted, and said, "They're posturing. I'll shut it down." 2 days later his letter went out. Any further attempts at harassment or retaliation will be documented and met with legal action. The calls stopped like someone flipped a switch. But my parents hate losing more than they love being right. 3 weeks later Richard called. They want mediation. They've lawyered up. I could have said no. Instead I said, let's do it. I want this on record. Cold November morning. I wore my best navy suit like armor. They sat across the conference table looking smaller than I remembered. Mom's lipstick was too bright. Dad's tie was crooked. The mediator asked everyone to speak respectfully. Dad went first. This is a family misunderstanding. I cut in calm, clear, lethal. There was no misunderstanding. You said verbatim, help your sister or we triple your rent. That is coercion. That is blackmail. That is not family. Mom tried the soft approach. We just wanted you home. This was never about home, I said. This was about control, wearing a Hallmark card. Serena wasn't even there. Too ashamed, I guess. Their lawyer kept trying to reframe, soften, justify. Richard slid the boundary agreement across the table. No financial threats. No forced childcare. All future communication through attorneys if necessary. They argued. They bargained. They teared up. Then they signed. As we stood to leave, Mom finally looked at me, really looked. I didn't know you felt trapped, she said, voice cracking. You didn't want to know, I answered. There's a difference. Dad asked, so what happens now? I didn't smile. Now you live with the consequences. And I live. The first morning in my new apartment, sunlight poured through those huge windows and painted the brick gold. I stood in the middle of the empty living room in socks, holding coffee that I brewed for myself, and I cried, not from pain, from relief so big it hurt. Serena and I met for coffee a month later. No kids, no guilt, just two women trying to be sisters without strings. She said, I'm sorry I let them put you in that position. I believed her. We're still figuring it out. Slowly. I had dinner with my parents last week. Neutral restaurant, separate checks. Conversation stayed light, work, weather, my new place. No one mentioned rent or babysitting. The silence where those words used to live felt clean. Sometimes I drive past the old apartment. The light over the garage is burned out now. Looks like no one's fixed it. I don't feel triumph when I see it. Feel free. So if you're watching this and anyone is holding housing, money, or love over your head to make you smaller, hear me. Pack the boxes. Send the notice. Walk away. Because the moment you choose yourself is the moment you finally, truly come home. Moral. Love that demands your silence isn't love, it's a cage. And you were never meant to live behind bars. Soft smile, slight lean toward camera. If this story hit you in the chest, drop your own in the comments. You're not alone. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next one might be the one that gives you the courage to leave your key back too. I'll see you in the next story.